What's up, guys? This is Chris from DraftDashboard.com.
Here are my DFS picks for NFL Friday, Christmas Showdown.
These picks apply for DraftKings and FanDuel. Before I get started, please drop a like on this video and hit that red subscribe button
And hit that bell icon
so you don't miss our new videos.
Okay, in this video, I'm going to give you my top picks for the Friday Showdown between the New Orleans Saints and the Minnesota Vikings. And if you stick around to the very end of this video, we'll use the Draft Dashboard tools to make a DFS lineup using the picks we just made. Okay guys, let's take a look at the quarterback position. I like Kirk Cousins from the Minnesota Vikings playing the New Orleans Saints, who have a good defense overall, and they've been good versus opposing quarterbacks, but Kirk Cousins has averaged 19.9 fantasy points per game on the season. He's getting an average of 1.9 rush attempts per game, but he's rushed the ball 3, 5, and 3 times in the last 3 games, and he scored 20, 18, and 26 fantasy points in the last 3 games. He's projected at 16.7 fantasy points here on Christmas Day, but I think he's going to score at least 20 fantasy points in this one, and he's 9,600 DraftKings salary. Vegas thinks there's going to be 50.5 points scored in this game, and they have the Vikings trailing by 6.5. So although he doesn't have as good of a matchup as Drew Brees has, his wide receivers are healthy. Drew Brees is missing Michael Thomas, so I think it's going to be more of a running game script for the New Orleans Saints, going to Alvin Kamara. And I like the wide receivers that you can stack with Kirk Cousins. And also, you know where the targets are going to go for the Minnesota Vikings. So I like Kirk Cousins here versus the New Orleans Saints. Okay, let's take a look at the running back position. I like Alvin Kamara from the New Orleans Saints playing the Minnesota Vikings, who have the 8th worst defense overall, and they're middle of the pack defending opposing running backs. Alvin Kamara has averaged 23.2 fantasy points per game on the season, getting an average of 11.8 rush attempts per game and 7.3 pass targets per game. He's projected at 22 fantasy points here on Christmas Day, and he's 11,400 DraftKings salary. So now, looking at the 2 salaries between Dalvin Cook and Alvin Kamara, Kamara's only 600 less than Dalvin Cook, but I think that price tag is warranted because Michael Thomas is out and Alvin Kamara has a much better matchup and a running game script. Because Vegas thinks the Saints are going to be ahead in this game, they don't want Drew Brees taking those hits. Also, Traquan Smith may be out with an ankle, so Alvin Kamara should get plenty of work in this one. So I like Alvin Kamara here versus the Minnesota Vikings.
Real quick, guys, I got great news. For a limited time, we're offering a full 30-day trial to Draft Dashboard. You can try all of our DFS tools for all sports. Our NBA tools are awesome. This is a great time to get in and try everything for 1 month. The tools are all about saving research time. You can see the last 3 games, the fantasy points per game, the targets they got per game, so you can see how involved they are in the offense, the rushes they got per game. Seeing all this stuff on one screen helps you save time and make better picks. Oh, and if you're tired of doing research every day, we just added a cheat sheet that shows hand-picked plays for the slate. No confusing stat lines, no headaches, just a simple cheat sheet that shows the absolute best players for your lineups.
Okay, let's take a look at the wide receiver position. I like Justin Jefferson from the Minnesota Vikings, averaging 18.2 fantasy points per game on the season, getting an average of 7.4 pass targets per game. He scored 21, 10, and 30 fantasy points in the last 3 games off of 11, 8, and 12 pass targets. He's projected at 16.2 fantasy points here on Christmas Day, and he's 9,200 DraftKings salary. So with the Minnesota Vikings expected to be playing from behind in this game,
Justin Jefferson could get a ton of pass targets, so I like Justin Jefferson here versus the New Orleans Saints. Now, if Tre'Quan Smith does miss this game with an ankle injury, I'm doing this video right now on Thursday, so I don't know when we're going to get the news if Tre'Quan Smith is in or out, but if Tre'Quan Smith is out, I like Lil Jordan Humphrey from the New Orleans Saints. He scored 11 fantasy points last game off of 4 pass targets, and he played in that game because Tre'Quan Smith went out with an ankle injury. Now, he's projected at 5.6 fantasy points here on Christmas Day, and he's only $2,600 DraftKings salary. So he's got a fantastic matchup here. The Minnesota Vikings give up the second most fantasy points to opposing wide receivers. So if Tre'Quan Smith is out, I like Lil Jordan Humphrey here versus the Minnesota Vikings. I like Lil Jordan Humphrey here versus the Minnesota Vikings. Okay, let's take a look at the tight end position. I like Jared Cook from the New Orleans Saints playing the Minnesota Vikings, who have a middle-of-the-pack defense defending opposing tight ends. Jared Cook has averaged 7.9 fantasy points per game on the season, getting an average of 3.9 pass targets per game. He scored 5, 13, and 12 fantasy points in the last 3 games off of 5, 4, and 5 pass targets. He's projected at 9.5 fantasy points here on Christmas Day, and he's $5,600 DraftKings salary. So with Michael Thomas out and Tre'Quan Smith banged up, I'm going to look for Jared Cook to get a few extra pass targets in this one. So I like Jared Cook here versus the Minnesota Vikings.
If you want to try all these daily fantasy tools for yourself, click the link in the description below this video or just go to draftdashboard.com. You can use our DFS lineup optimizer to build quality lineups using our picks and your own custom player pool. Click the link in the description below this video and try all these daily fantasy tools right now. Thanks so much for watching. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel and hit that bell icon so you can get instant updates whenever we post a new video.
Thank you so much for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this video, please smiggity smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Oh, and please comment below with your favorite player for this NFL slate. I love to hear what you guys have to think. Thanks again, and good luck.